guys, this is Jim Monroe. I'm coming to you from my church office here at First Baptist Church in Whitehall, Arkansas. Thought I would try something a little different. I know we've had our teacher preparation meetings, which we've termed PrepTalk, and those have been fairly successful over the last year. But I know Sunday afternoons are a tough time for you. Many of you have deacons meetings or other meetings that conflict with that, and it's hard to choose which one to go to. So I thought I would try something different by videoing the teaching sessions. What I plan on doing is doing one overview of the entire quarter, just a brief overview, and then do individual videos for each individual lesson. And so that's my goal. We'll try it out for a little bit and see how it goes. Now, what we're going to be looking at is just an overview of the summer quarter of 2014 for the Bible Studies for Life literature that we're all in. As we look at that, we're going to look at the contents page, and we see that this quarter, in the summer, we have a total of 14 weeks. Most quarters are 13 weeks, but the calendar falls just right this time to where we have 14 Sundays in the summer. So what we have are two 6-week lessons, two 6-week series, and then we have a 1 2-week series. And so we're going to look at those right now. Starting on June 1st, we have a series entitled Beyond Belief, Exploring the Character of God. This is a great study exploring just 6 of the many characteristics of God. Let's look at those. We've got God is holy, loving, just, forgiving, wise, and faithful. That takes us down through July 6th. You know, what I like to do a lot of times when we start a unit is to do just a 2 or 3 minute overview in Sunday school class. And so we might take a couple of minutes and just say, hey, for the next 6 weeks, we're going to be looking at the characteristics of God and list some of those. I know if you use the teacher preparation pack that many of you use, that there will be a poster that will have those topics listed that you can go through, and it'll be just another visual aid for the students in the class to know kind of where they are and where they're going over the next few weeks. All right, let's look at the next unit. It's called Resilient Faith, Standing Strong in the Midst of Suffering. You know, I think that's an excellent topic because so many people say they have a great faith, and then something comes along in their lives that kind of rocks their foundation, whether that's a death of a loved one or a spouse leaves them or job loss. Something happens, and they kind of fall away from the church. And so this is a unit that just helps prepare people when those things come their way. How can they stay strong in the midst of those? So let's look at those. Starting on July 13th, we have Focused Faith, Active Faith, Enduring Faith, Ready Faith, Joyful Faith, and Victorious Faith. And then we have the 2-week session there at the end of August, August 24 and 31. The unit title is called And It Was Good, and it deals with creation. You see, session 1 is God's work of creation. August 31, our work with creation. So we've got 3 different units, the normal 6 units, 2 of those, and then a small miniature unit there at the end of August. All right, I want to point out a couple of things here about your, I'm going to call it the leader guide. You might call it your teacher's quarterly, whatever. It is really full of great information, not just your lesson. And as we look at that, in fact, I'm just going to turn to session 1, which is the God is Holy one. And let's look over here on this other page here. You see it starts off with the point, and it says God's holiness calls us to be holy. God's holiness calls me to be holy. A little more personal. What that is, each lesson has this page, and the first one being the point, meaning that's the nugget of information that the author of this series would like for you to take away. As a class member, when the lesson's all said and done, what is it they're going to take away? What's that? If they were going to boil the lesson down to one simple sentence, what would that be? God's holiness calls me to be holy. A lot of times I know we can go into Sunday school and we can have some good conversation, maybe learn some important facts and good things, but you walk away thinking, well, it was a great conversation, we had a good time, what was the lesson really about? And sometimes it's hard to verbalize that. If they were to tell their friends at work the next day, my Sunday school lesson yesterday was about something, and they filled in that with just a simple sentence, it's hard to do sometimes. Think of it like this. You've got this box of dirt, and inside of that dirt is a precious gem, is a nugget of some kind. And so you've got this screen at the bottom, and you shake the box, and you let all the other stuff filter through. And there might be some good stuff there, but you want that one nugget. That's what you have to do every week, is look through the lesson. And sometimes that nugget is the point that's listed there in your quarterly. And sometimes just knowing your class and knowing what they're going through, their stage of life, those kind of things, that might not be the nugget you need for your class. So my recommendation is, when you find what that nugget is, whether it's what's listed in your teacher's guide or something else, use that several times during the lesson. And by that I mean, as you start the lesson, you could say something like, we use this lesson for example. Today we're in Psalm 99. We're going to be looking at 9 verses there, and we're in this unit about God's characteristics, and today we're going to be looking at God's holiness. And what I really want you to walk away with today is that God's holiness calls you and me to be holy. It's a good way to start. And then throughout the lesson, you might mention that phrase or rephrase that phrase a couple of times, and then at the end, say, guys, now as you go throughout the week, remember our lesson today. God is holy, and His holiness calls you to be holy. So remember that. Think on that this week. And it kind of helps set that in their minds. Kind of helps cement that in. Think about a lot of songs, famous speeches that use repetitive phrases, and that it really sinks in. Think of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. You know, I have a dream that one day this will happen. I have a dream that this will happen. And he repeats that phrase so much, that's what we know it as, the I have a dream speech. All that to say, a little bit of repetition is not necessarily bad. A little bit of repetition helps set in the point, the nugget that you want people to walk away with. All right, something else about the teacher's guide. As you look through this, I know there are some definitions, those kind of things, as you go through here. Kind of helps give you a little background. Of course, it's got a lesson plan. I'll be honest with you, I seldom use the lesson plan. I like to read through it and see what it has to say. I kind of like to come up with my own questions and use some other resources just because I know my class and I know what works best for them. Then, of course, there's the commentary. That's where you get a lot of good biblical background about what's going on and the culture and those kind of things about the time that the story, that the lesson was written. Also, as you look through, occasionally you'll find something like this that says tip. And this is a tip about how to do Sunday school better in your classroom. And let's see what this one says. Don't be afraid of silence during the group discussion. Most people need at least 30 seconds to process a deeper question and develop an answer. See, so many times we'll ask a question and expect an immediate response, and not everybody's like that. Some people, myself included, need a few seconds to let that question sink in, process it a little bit. So don't be afraid of silence. Ask a question, and if the room's silent for 5 or 10 seconds, that's not a big deal. Just let it set, let it simmer, and then you might break the ice a little bit and get the discussion going again if obviously nobody's going to answer. All right, so your teacher's quarterly, your leader's guide is full of great information, and this goes for you guys who also use the video curriculum. You know, you don't 100% rely on that video curriculum because it's good. It will, get your discussion going, but this will have a lot of the background that you need, because sometimes your students will have some questions that may not be covered in that video curriculum. So read that, look through it all the time. Also, when it comes to those special, like 1 or 2 week units that make out that 13 or 14 weeks, you have to go back to the Leader's Guide and use that for those lessons. So just remember those things. All right, let's talk about a phrase that we know very well in church work, and that is summer slump. We know what that means. It's kind of a fun phrase. What it means, of course, is what? It means that over the next few months, they're going to be going on vacation. Kids are going to be going to camps, these kind of things, and our attendance tends to dip a little bit in the summer because of those things. I'm going to encourage you to try to keep a little, maybe a step up on that, a little ahead of the game. Know your class. Know when they're going on vacation. And when somebody's gone and they're not on vacation that you know of, have somebody call them during the week. Send them an email. How are things going? Notice you weren't in class. You know, it's not, you're not harping on people, but you're just showing them that they were missed. What I like to do on a weekly basis is send my class an email. And I do 2 or 3 things in that email. I just tell them kind of what's going on at church, if there's something special coming up. Also, kind of recap last week's lesson in a sentence or two. Just saying, hey, in case you missed last week, here's what went on. We had a great time, had a good discussion about this. And just to let them, like I said, a very brief discussion about that. And then spend maybe a paragraph talking about the upcoming lesson. Maybe a question for them to think about. Hey, when you come to class this week, be prepared to answer this question. Because like I said earlier, not everybody can answer a question, right off the top of their head. So that gives them a little time to think about it. Also, I will list the scripture passage that will be in the lesson, and I'll have it hyperlinked. And if you don't know what that means, that's okay. You can type out the scripture passage that will be used. That way, they can, in the email, read that passage and already be prepared a little bit, because you and I both know that most adults probably don't come to Sunday school prepared to talk about the lesson. They come in, they'll respond off the top of their head and have a good time doing that and enjoy that and maybe get something out of it. But this is just another way for them to be thinking about the lesson ahead of time during the week. Unless, of course, they send my email straight to the trash can. I don't know. That may be the case. But anyway, because what I want to do, and hopefully what you want to do, is not just make smarter people. The education process is more than just education. In church work, in Sunday school, and small group work, it's more about life change. It's more about transformation. So the more I can get people thinking about the lesson, the more they're prepared to think about it, the more probability it's going to have in making their life change a reality. Because what I want them to do is to walk away from Sunday school class knowing a couple of things. Number one, what the lesson was in a nutshell, right? That one sentence, that one nugget of truth. And then how can that nugget of truth help me at home, at work, when I'm at Walmart or wherever. So asking those application type questions and making some application on a weekly basis helps sink that lesson in and makes it a part of their lives. All right, now let's talk a little bit also about the summer slump and trying to avoid that by thinking about some fellowships or parties that you might have in the upcoming 2 or 3 months. July 4th is coming up. It's on a Friday. That's an excellent time, whether you're a senior adult, young adult with kids, whatever. That's a great time to have a fellowship. So think about maybe doing something on July 4th or around there. All right. Also, let me just tell you that Irie is our Sunday school director, Irie Rice. And so if you ever need anything, please contact him or me, whether that's markers in my classroom or our classroom's way too big, way too small, whatever. We may not have the perfect answer, but we'll try to come up with something for you on that. Also, let me tell you this, I say this in just about every Sunday school leader update that I write, but I really do appreciate you guys. I know every week you come prepared to teach, to help students in your class learn more about the Bible and how to apply it to their lives on a day-to-day basis. And actually, if you want to think of it like this, you are actually like their pastor. You are their small group pastor, so to speak. You know more about their lives and what's going on and their surgeries. You are helping prepare meals when somebody dies or has a baby. You know more about their day-to-day lives than we on staff do. And so I just want to tell you that I appreciate that very much. Keep up the great work. And we'll keep trying this video thing for a while and see how it works, okay? So let me know what you think about that. Tell Irie or me about your comments on this video. I'm going to be doing some additional videos on each individual lesson, so be looking for those in the upcoming weeks. Thanks, guys. See you later.